Welcome to the cultivation universe where everything abnormal is normal. And today's main character, Bai Xiaochun, is living proof. A young man who fears death more than the sky falling. A genius whose main talent is causing trouble. And also the only person who can make the entire sect want to beat him, protect him, and avoid him as much as possible. A will eternal, a cultivation story full of laughter. But beneath it is the emotional journey of a seemingly useless person who carries within him a will that can shake heaven and earth. If you want a story that's addictive from the first listen, humorous, touching, and extremely captivating, then this is the perfect choice. Now let's embark on a journey where just one thought is enough to shake eternity. On the Tongshan River, battle rages, and the Reverse River Sect and the Void River Academy engage in a fierce and brutal fight. Although the Reverse River Sect holds the advantage in the Ancestor and Golden Core battles, the Void River Academy's assassination tactics in the Foundation Establishment and Cha Condensation battles have caused headaches for the cultivators of the four branches of the Reverse River Sect. A single misstep could instantly cost them their lives. The Void River Academy is a mid-level sect. Although it suffered significant losses of high-level and mid-level experts due to the Starry Sky Dao extreme sex suppression, its low-level cultivators were relatively unharmed. Therefore, the low-level battles were extremely brutal. Fortunately, the four branches of the Reverse River Sect had developed significantly after the Great Battle downstream, especially having become accustomed to large-scale sect wars. After an initial moment of confusion, they gradually regained their footing and were able to hold their ground. This situation was very advantageous for the Reverse River Sect. As long as they won the Ancestor battle or the Golden Core battle, they could completely crush the Void River Academy. The cultivation sects and families that had chosen to join the Reverse River Sect, though secretly, still extended their support. Shangguan Tianyu controlled his avatar, moving back and forth, his flying swords forming a net around him, making him very prominent. Ghost Fang was much quieter, but his attacks were always fierce, his demonic energy filling the sky, his black demonic hands suddenly appearing to kill his enemies. Ho Yunfei, Gongsun Yun, the prodigies from the Bloodstream lineage, Song Qiu, Blood Plum, Divine Calculator, Gulai, Song Zhengwan, along with the three great blood sons and the elders, all shone brightly on the battlefield. Similarly, there was Zhuangzi Yimui Jiudao, who had recovered from his injuries and usually had to avoid Bai Xiaochun, but now had the opportunity to vent his anger. Among the disciples of Dangxi sect, there was only one prodigy, Chen Manyao. This girl was extraordinary, commanding the Dangxi sect's army of cultivators, focusing on poison and healing, with teams of 3 to 5, either releasing poisonous smoke or providing reinforcements. Thanks to the presence of Dangxi sect, the stalemate turned in favor of the Neth sect. Chen Manya also demonstrated her talent in formation, ensuring that tens of thousands of Dangxi cultivators remained completely undisturbed, each acting with precision. Chen Manyao continuously issued orders, her eyes sweeping across the battlefield. She truly shone, becoming the second person targeted by the Kong Academy. The first, well, it was Bai Xiaochun, the one who emerged from the blood ancestor's body, transformed into a giant formation, wielding that enormous blood sword formed from condensed blood energy. Anyone could see that Bai Xiaochun and the blood ancestor were one and the same. Moreover, although the Void River Academy couldn't directly interfere in the lower reaches of the cultivation world, they naturally knew all the news from the lower reaches. And they knew who was responsible for unifying the lower reach of the cultivation world. Therefore, as soon as Bai Xiaochun appeared, he was immediately targeted by the Void River Academy, with most of the assassins rushing to attack him. Bai Xiaochun's eyes blazed red. This battlefield made him feel like he was back in the battles of the Luochen Mountain Range, the Battle of the Fallen Sword Abyss, and the Battle of Shang City. He roared, his blood energy surging, boosting the combat power of the Bloodstream lineage cultivators. Die! Bai Xiaochun slashed at a charging tree man. Suddenly, 7 or 8 Foundation Establishment cultivators appeared from the void around him, all simultaneously attacking him. After Bai Xiaochun cleaved the tree man in two, a colossal phantom appeared behind him, his immortal Asura body. The immortal Asura body seemed to have become a second avatar. When the Foundation Establishment cultivators attacked it, the recoil caused them to spit blood in disbelief. Impossible! What kind of body is this? How did it reach this level? Damn it, this seems to have reached the level of Foundation Establishment immortality. They looked at Bai Xiaochun as if they had seen a ghost, quickly retreating and fleeing with all their might. Foundation Establishment immortality. Bai Xiaochun flicked his hand, and the giant blood sword in his hand exploded, transforming into countless blood energies, condensing into a whirlwind of countless small blood swords that swept in all directions. The Foundation Establishment cultivators hadn't run far before they were enveloped by the blood sword whirlwind. As the wind swept through, they all vanished. This scene caused the surrounding cultivators of the Void River Academy to hold their breath. Many monks of the Reverse River sect died on the battlefield, mostly at the hands of assassins. Filled with hatred, Bai Xiaochun charged out, dodging the Void Tree, specifically seeking out assassins for revenge. Any assassins he caught were crushed to pieces by Bai Xiaochun's Asura body. The assassins dared not approach Bai Xiaochun again. Just as Bai Xiaochun was about to continue his pursuit, a tree-like creature twice the size of a normal tree-like creature appeared behind him. Its eyes gleamed with malevolence, and several skulls, all disciples of the Lingxi sect, clung to its body, enraging Bai Xiaochun. Immortal Foundation Establishment. An invincible realm, just a low-level brat. Let me show you what true invincibility is. What an Immortal Foundation Establishment body truly is. A young man's face, filled with malice and madness, emerged from the evil tree. A prodigy from the Void River Academy? Every time I see this kind of madness, it makes me feel an urge to help them come to their senses, Bai Xiaochun murmured, immediately unleashing the mountain-shattering charge. As soon as the mountain-shattering charge was unleashed, its power greatly increased. A second Asura body appeared behind him, the two great Asura bodies overlapping, increasing the power once again. His speed was incredibly fast. Before the tree man could react, Bai Xiaochun had transformed into a blur, crashing straight into the tree man. The tree man was sent flying like a kite with a broken string, soaring into the forest on the other side of the river, creating a loud crash as it hit the ground. Then, there was no more sound. It seems that's not very polite, Bai Xiaochun said smugly, feigning surprise. The other 8 people in his clone formation all smiled wryly. It was clear to everyone that Bai Xiaochun had done it intentionally. With his mountain-shattering charge, how many people could withstand his attack without being sent flying? On the banks of the Void River, in the forest, in an extremely deep pit. In the pit lay a shattered void dong tree. After a long time, a trembling figure struggled to crawl out from within it was the arrogant prodigy who had been shouting earlier. His face no longer showed arrogance or madness, only fear and terror. He dared not approach the banks of the Tongshan River, but sat down cross-legged, terrified of Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun was very pleased. Since leaving the Blood Ancestor's body, he had discovered that during the time he controlled the Blood Ancestor, his immortal longevity technique had greatly improved, creating a second Asura body. But he knew that on the battlefield, he would definitely attract attention, so he deliberately refrained from revealing it, waiting for someone who thought he was easy to bully to rush forward and attack him. Then he would pull it out and send them flying. Watching the arrogant prodigy he had sent flying, still nowhere to be seen, Bai Xiaochun felt immensely pleased. Serves him right for bullying others, Bai Xiaochun said arrogantly. The surrounding cultivators of the Void River Academy looked at him in fear, no one daring to challenge him anymore. Even Kang Dongzishu trembled and avoided him. They avoided him, but their hearts were filled with resentment, wishing they could smash his avatar formation, forcing Bai Xiaochun to fight alone. Then they would show him that without the support of a formation, he was nothing. Damn it, I don't believe he can hide in that avatar formation forever HMPH, as long as he comes out. I'll definitely see how much real combat power he has. The Void River Academy cultivators muttered to themselves, but seeing Bai Xiaochun rushing towards them, they reluctantly dodged. What are you dodging? Let's fight, come on! Bai Xiaochun roared triumphantly, watching as the people of the Void River Academy scattered wherever he went, feeling extremely pleased. Not long after, on the Golden Core battlefield, the Reverse River sect finally capitalized on their numerical advantage, gaining the upper hand and inflicting heavy casualties on the Void River Academy cultivators. Golden Core cultivators began to die, and the Void River Academy cultivators gradually retreated, their morale greatly diminished. constantly being chased and killed by the overwhelming number of Golden Core cultivators from the Reverse River sect. Similarly, a supreme elder of the Reverse River sect finally found himself free to join the battle, invigorating the cultivators of the Four-Vein Reverse River sect, who launched a full-scale attack. The nascent soul cultivator of the Void River Academy, nearing the heavenly human realm, let out a mournful cry, pushing away the encircling wine god son, Han Zong, and Chi Han of the Reverse River sect, and pointed at the Void River Evil Tree. Guard the mountain gate. Activate the sect's grand formation. A massive green light burst forth from the Void Dong Evil Tree, enveloping all directions with immense suction. This suction targeted the cultivators of the Void River Academy, and in an instant, all of them were drawn up to the Void Dong Evil Tree. The formation completely sealed off the Tongshan River, cutting off the attack route of the Reverse River sect. This formation of the Void Dong Evil Tree was not perfect, having two large gaps, one on the left and one on the right. These two gaps significantly weakened the formation. Abandon the Tongshan River, disperse into the forests on both sides of the river, conduct the second battle, and kill. The mountain gate of the Void River Academy, the Han sect's ancestor shouted. The strongest bloodstream and the weakest dance stream joined forces, leaping onto the left bank, while the other two sects leapt onto the right bank, all aiming directly at the mountain gate. The battle in the forest began. In the dense forest, unsuitable for the giant formation and the Zhuangxi puppet, this battle relied entirely on individual strength. The cultivators of the Void River Academy hastily dispersed into the forest, forming a defensive line. In the sky, the nascent soul battle resumed. This battle was highly dangerous, so most inner disciples remained on the sky-connecting warship, not participating in the fighting. Only cultivators at the Foundation establishment stage and above were eligible to participate, as there was no longer a protective formation, and if injured, the risk of death would be extremely serious. But this was war. To boost morale, the ancestors of the Reverse River sect allowed all spoils of war harvested from the forest battle to belong entirely to the individuals, without needing to be handed over to the sect. However, mutual killing was strictly forbidden. Violations would be severely punished. Bai Xiaochun's avatar formation also shattered, and the 9 figures scattered, each venturing into the forest. Bai Xiaochun looked at the forest before him. In his opinion, it closely resembled the forest in the Luochen mountain range. I'm an important person. There must be someone secretly protecting me, Bai Xiaochun encouraged himself, patting his storage bag. Many talismans appeared in his hand. He affixed them all to himself, and hundreds of overlapping light screens immediately appeared around him, too many to count. Having done this, Bai Xiaochun plunged into the forest, his target being the distant Kong Academy's mountain gate. In the damp forest, screams of agony echoed all around, some from Kong Academy, others from the Net sect. Bai Xiaochun, who was flying, suddenly stopped and dodged to the side. 4 Foundation establishment cultivators from Kong Academy appeared at his original spot. 2 of them struck directly at where he had been standing, while the other to attack the protective light screens surrounding him. Some of the light screens shattered, but many remained, creating a powerful blast that sent the 2 Foundation establishment cultivators reeling back. Their blood surged, and Bai Xiaochun roared, charging straight at one of them. The cultivator screamed in agony, blood gushing out. His internal organs shattered, and he was flung more than 10 meters away. It was clear he wouldn't survive. Bai Xiaochun's right hand turned black, grabbing the second cultivator and squeezing his neck. Throat-shattering lock. The cultivator's eyes widened, and he died instantly. The remaining 2 quickly retreated. They had initially intended to kill Bai Xiaochun together, but they hadn't expected him to be so terrifyingly powerful without his protective formation. Bai Xiaochun raised his hand, condensing his blood energy, and slashed with all his might. A 10-meter-long blood-red blade materialized, sweeping across the area. The 2 cultivators looked down in disbelief. Their bodies had been severed in 2. A sharp, eerie sound suddenly echoed from the distant Kong Academy's mountain gate, spreading throughout the entire battlefield. Ha ha, ha ha. The sinister laughter sent chills down everyone's spine. A puppet. The puppet was only about 3 feet tall, dressed in tattered clothes, with a sinister grin on its face and sparse hair, like a discarded children's toy doll, yet it floated in midair, radiating a terrifying aura, its eerie laughter emanating from it. Its eyes shot out a blazing red light, and in an instant, it appeared before a cultivator from the Nez sect. The cultivator stared at it with wide eyes. Then with a loud bang, his head exploded, blood and brains flattering everywhere, and the puppet laughed again. Bai Xiaochun's scalp tingled. The supreme treasure of the Void River Academy? In the forest, Gonsan Water raised her head, coldly staring at the puppet, her eyes filled with contempt. Another rainbow-colored light rushed over. It was the supreme treasure of the Bloodstream sect. Dao Kouren. Dao Kouren, holding the human skin in his hand, put it on and flew straight towards the puppet of the Void River Academy. Two things that did not belong to the human world began to fight each other in midair. The cultivators of the Reverse River sect breathed a sigh of relief, but Bai Xiaochun and the Golden Core cultivators' expressions changed. If this puppet is the supreme treasure of the Void River Academy, then it's fine. But what if it's not the supreme treasure of the Void River Academy, but just an ordinary treasure? Just an ordinary treasure has already caused the supreme treasure of the Bloodstream sect to take action. So what will happen when the Void River Academy brings out its true supreme treasure? Bai Xiaochun trembled. No matter how he looked at it, the doll didn't seem like a treasure. If the Void Evil Tree was a treasure, he didn't know what other treasures existed in the Void River Academy. Another thing flew out from the Void River Academy's mountain gate, this time a corpse wrapped in cloth, the cloth stained with blood that had turned brown. Its aura was even stronger than the tattered doll from before. A cloud of smoke drifted from afar, emitting a dazzling golden light, transforming into a majestic middle-aged Taoist priest who stepped forward to intercept the mummy. A treasure of the Zhuangxi sect. Bai Xiaochun hastily took out more talismans and affixed them to his body, collecting for storage bags, and cautiously approached. He tried his best to ignore the battle in the sky, focusing all his attention on his surroundings. Suddenly, he stopped, his hand forming a hand seal and pointing to a spot not far away. A purple cauldron appeared and slammed down. With a loud bang, the spot was blasted into a deep crater. Bai Xiaochun snorted coldly, opened his third eye, and saw a figure beside the large cauldron. Bai Xiaochun rushed forward and punched. The figure was surprised and retreated quickly, but was still struck by the aftershock, spitting blood. He revealed his true form as a middle-aged man, staring at Bai Xiaochun in horror. "You can see me," he said, continuing to retreat without stopping. Bai Xiaochun spread his wings behind him, rushed forward to chase after him, and kicked him. The cultivator tried his best to block, even bringing out many defensive magic treasures, but they were all useless. Bai Xiaochun's kick shattered the magic treasures, the cultivator's internal organs were crushed, and he died instantly. Bai Xiaochun collected his storage bag and continued on his way, keeping his spiritual eye open all the way. Even those hiding couldn't escape his spiritual eye, and he even expanded his range to rescue other fellow disciples along the way. Along the way, he saw many corpses, some of his own, some of the enemy, causing his heart to sink and his killing intent to intensify. "This is cultivation," Bai Xiaochun murmured. He understood this principle, just like back in the Luochen mountain range, in the Fallen Sword Abyss, and in Shan City. Although he understood it, at such times, his heart was always heavy and complicated. Bai Xiaochun suddenly heard a series of hurried hi-I sounds in the distance, the tones seemingly anxious and sorrowful, making him uneasy. Bai Xiaochun jumped, recognizing the sound. Phoenix! Bai Xiaochun immediately sped towards the source of the sound, seeing the phoenix that had consumed his aphrodisiac pill years ago. Its body was covered in blood, but it seemed to be in a frenzy, relentlessly attacking a woman in a black robe. This woman had a cold face, a long scar on her face, and eyes filled with killing intent, radiating a dangerous aura. In her hand, she held the skull of an old man, his eyes still wide open as if he couldn't believe he was dead. On the ground lay a headless corpse, dressed in the robes of the Lingxi lineage, its blood still fresh. Elder Chu. Bai Xiaochun stared blankly at the skull. That corpse was Elder Chu of Xiangyun Mountain from Lingxi, the one who replaced Li Qingou as the head of Xiangyun Mountain. Bai Xiaochun trembled, remembering many images. When he first came to the mountain, he and Zhang Daipen's group offered precious items to Elder Chu. Elder Chu's phoenix pointed directly at him, accusing him of damaging its image. Elder Chu angrily chased after him. During the North-South Battle of the South, he was intimidated by Elder Chu, fleeing for his life, unintentionally winning first place. He glared at her, his fists clenched in anger. The phoenix saw Bai Xiaochun, cried out mournfully, and flew towards him. She sneered, pointing at it. A black mist shot out, spreading out, intending to engulf the phoenix. "You want to die?" Bai Xiaochun roared, stepping forward to shield the phoenix, punching the black mist. The mist shattered, but instead of dissipating, it condensed into the figure of the woman. Her previous form became a phantom, the image formed by the black mist transforming into her true form, standing directly in front of Bai Xiaochun, sneering contemptuously, pointing directly at his forehead. The distance was too close, impossible to dodge, and Bai Xiaochun had no intention of dodging. His immortal longevity technique erupted. He didn't retreat, but charged forward. The woman's expression changed. She hadn't expected Bai Xiaochun to be so reckless. Unable to retract her hand, her finger was struck by Bai Xiaochun's forehead, bending sharply, and she was thrown back. "I don't have time to waste with you," the woman said hoarsely, turning to leave. "But I'm not going to let you off." Bai Xiaochun's forehead was injured, but he didn't care. He pressed his right hand down on the ground, forming a hand seal. Blood slaughter realm. Boom! Blood energy erupted from his body, forming a seal and condensing into a realm, preventing that woman from leaving. "You want to die?" The woman was furious. She was a Foundation establishment cultivator at the peak of her power, specializing in killing. She had killed many other cultivators at the peak of their power, and although she had other tasks, she felt that Bai Xiaochun was not ordinary and feared wasting time, so she intended to leave. But seeing the other party shamelessly clinging to her, she became enraged. Bai Xiaochun pointed at the headless corpse of Elder Zhou on the ground. Elder Zhou's blood gathered, forming a blood sword suspended in midair. "Don't rush. I will use this sword to take your life." The woman laughed, but her heart was already filled with unease. "If you want to die, I will grant your wish." The woman's body became indistinct. 9 streams of black energy emanated from her body, transforming into 9 patches of mist, attacking Bai Xiaochun from 9 different directions. Bai Xiaochun waved his hand, and purple energy surged out, transforming into a 100-foot-tall purple cauldron that enveloped him, protecting him. Boom! The black mist collided with the purple cauldron, creating a deafening explosion. The cauldron shook violently, swaying as if about to shatter. "Die!" The woman appeared from the void, uttering a single word. The mist transformed into black leaves, their veins clearly visible, swirling around the cauldron. These black leaves, like blades, slashed at the cauldron, shattering it into many pieces, and then continued to slash at Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun patted his storage bag, and a black umbrella appeared. The Eternal Night Umbrella. Bai Xiaochun opened the umbrella, completely shielding himself. The umbrella emitted a pitch-black light. A powerful suction force emanated from the umbrella, causing the woman's face to change color, her whole body trembling. Her body visibly withered, and a wisp of white energy flew from her 7 orifices, being sucked into the umbrella. That was her life force. "What is that?" The woman trembled, crying out mournfully, wanting to flee, but her body was as if nailed to the ground, unable to move. Several parts of her life force had been sucked away, her hair turning white. She bit her tongue hard, deciding to self-destruct. A surge of energy erupted from her body, helping her escape the gravitational pull of the umbrella, retreating more than 10 meters. She spat out blood, glaring at Bai Xiaochun with hatred. Her body faded, intending to disappear into the void and escape. Bai Xiaochun retracted the Eternal Night Umbrella and rushed after her, feeling regretful. This girl was indeed worthy of being a prodigy of the Void River Academy. She was only a hair's breadth away from the Golden Core stage, and he was just a hair's breadth away from succeeding. However, Bai Xiaochun's cultivation level was too high for him to control this umbrella, which is why she managed to escape. The girl quickly disappeared, but Bai Xiaochun roared, opening his heaven-penetrating Dharma eye. He swung his arm, throwing a punch into the air. With a loud bang, a figure appeared, spitting blood, looking at him in disbelief. "He found me, damn it. How could the Reverse River sect have someone like this? His cultivation is not bad, his body is strong, his techniques are bizarre, his combat experience is rich, and most importantly, he can even counter me." The woman trembled, knowing she couldn't escape, and decided to fight to the death. Reverse Blood Void Spirit. The aura of herbs emanated from the woman, spreading around her. A dazzling green light shone, and patches of herbs sprouted from her body, making her seem to merge with the surrounding forest. The herbs everywhere twisted and flew towards Bai Xiaochun. The one battling Bai Xiaoqun now was no longer just her, but all the plants in this forest. Let's see how you counter me. The woman's killing intent soared to the heavens. The plants, branches, and leaves formed a whirlwind hundreds of feet high, causing the blood realm seal to tremble and threaten to shatter. I'll show you how to restrain it. Bai Xiaoqun said coldly, waving his hands and uttering 4 words. Herbs, weapons. Boom! Bai Xiaoqun's hair fluttered, his aura astonishing. The whirlwind formed by the herbs stopped instantly upon reaching him. Although the storm still raged, it was clear that 2 opposing forces were vying for control within it. Impossible! The woman exclaimed. The black-clothed girl's ability to control herbs had nothing to do with medicine, but rather a type of cultivation technique similar to innate divine abilities, allowing her to communicate with and control herbs. Although the Void River Academy specialized in spatial techniques, thanks to the Voidworm Evil Tree, cultivating on trees naturally created a special relationship with plants over time, to the point that each Void River Academy disciple even had a Voidworm Evil Tree to control in battle. This method of control, to be precise, was a kind of temporary contract, merely borrowing. But Bai Xiaoqun was different. He used medicine as his foundation and the Herbworm Army as his guide. What he possessed was not a contract, not borrowing, but true control. Using the method of mutual generation and mutual restraint, the Tao of herb fusion, and being a Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment cultivator, his aura was overflowing, giving him an overbearing presence that ordinary foundation establishment cultivators could never possess. If it weren't for this girl's special secret technique and her background from a mid-level sect, she would have long been completely crushed by Bai Xiaoqun. Even though she was still resisting now, it wouldn't last much longer. Turn back! Bai Xiaoqun shouted, pushing his hand forward. The herb storm exploded, reversing direction and flying towards the girl in black to attack. The girl was terrified. She now understood that Bai Xiaoqun had deliberately lured her closer to use the black umbrella. She was somewhat wary of Bai Xiaoqun, and the black umbrella was eerie and frightening, but it wasn't the most terrifying thing. The terrifying thing was that her primary spatial technique couldn't outsmart Bai Xiaoqun. Without this spatial technique, she couldn't perform assassination techniques, nor could she escape into the void, effectively crippling one of her arms. Now even her herb cultivation technique was being suppressed. No, this wasn't just suppression. It was a complete takeover. I'm not reconciled. The woman went berserk. She was a prodigy, arrogant and proud, always the one to overpower others. Now, with only a little bit left to advance to the Golden Core stage, she had high expectations, and she had never experienced being suppressed like this before. Seeing the approaching storm, she sneered, sat down, and pressed her hands firmly into the ground. With soldier technique, tentacles emerged from her feet, plunging straight into the ground and spreading out like tree roots. Her body was covered in dark green veins, like leaf veins. Her skin turned brown, and her body transformed into a wooden puppet. The wood soldier technique, a secret technique of the Void River Academy, transforms cultivators into wooden puppets. I don't believe you can steal my control over the plants anymore. The surrounding plants flew towards her, her body continuously growing, reaching a height of hundreds of feet. Her powerful aura no less than that of a real void tree. The storm, now subdued by her, swirled around her, transforming into a giant hammer in her right hand. Dai, the huge, green hammer formed from plants slashed straight at Bai Xiaoqun. The attack was so powerful that it shattered the blood realm seal. It's Senior Uncle Bai, Senior Sister Chen. Cultivators from both sides cried out. Bai Xiaoqun closed his eyes, and a gigantic thorn, like a mountain, gradually appeared in his mind. A cloud of mist enveloped Bai Xiaoqun, spreading outwards and covering an area of hundreds of miles. Within that 100-mile radius, cultivators from both sides felt an indescribable, powerful pressure upon them. Even the Golden Core cultivators high above were visibly shaken. The massive hammer was only about 3 jang away when Bai Xiaoqun opened his eyes, his gaze unfocused. Suddenly, the 100-mile radius of surrounding mist transformed into a water marsh. Water Marsh Kingdom, Bai Xiaoqun whispered, his voice low but like a summoning, resounding like thunder to the nascent soul cultivators, echoing through the air from ancient times. The ground trembled, and the descending hammer was suddenly intercepted by an enormous thorn that appeared and propelled it straight up into the sky. 10 zhang, 100 zhang, 1,000 zhang, 10,000 zhang. The enormous thorn continued to expand, as if wanting to pierce the sky, followed by a row of thorns slowly rising. The woman transformed into a wooden figure hadn't even touched Bai Xiaochun's robe before a thorn pierced through her, pulling her high into the sky. The woman, in despair, transformed back into a cultivator, blood gushing out, and she was on her deathbed. The ground shook, and in the hazy mist, a massive body could be vaguely seen beneath the enormous thorns. Its size was so vast that a 100-mile radius was insufficient for it to appear, so no one could discern what kind of beast it was. Compared to its colossal body, the woman impaled on one of the thorns was practically insignificant. Cultivators on both sides were speechless, staring in disbelief. Fortunately, this process didn't last long. After only a few breaths, the beast in the Watermarsh Kingdom roared, then slowly dissipated. The mist gradually vanished. Everything returned to normal. The pressure was gone, and the woman's body fell heavily in front of Bai Xiaochun. The dying woman, with a pathetic smile, looked at Bai Xiaochun, her eyes filled with hatred, her mouth agape. He intended to curse Bai Xiaochun, but Bai Xiaochun waved his sleeve, and the blood sword condensed from Elder Zhou's blood flew out, severing her head. The head flew off, and on that head, a pair of eyes were wide open in unwillingness. The blood sword dissipated. Bai Xiaochun had done as he said, using this sword, a life for a life, blood for blood. Bai Xiaochun collected the woman's storage bag and was about to turn and leave, but a shout echoed from afar. Junior Sister Tong, that roar was unusual, creating a whirlwind that shattered the ground around Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun trembled, forced to retreat several steps. His expression changed as he saw a young man flying rapidly towards him from afar. The man's speed was incredibly fast. The Foundation establishment cultivators and his path swayed. A golden core cultivator, someone exclaimed. Everyone knew that all the golden core cultivators of the Void River Academy should have been stopping the golden core cultivators of the Reverse River sect. For some reason, this person had escaped the golden core battlefield and was now here. Fortunately, a golden core rainbow from the Reverse River sect had quickly pursued him. But the young man sneered, waved his hand, and a green light flashed behind him. A gigantic void tree man appeared. This void tree spirit was his, something he cherished no less than his own life, but now he decided to summon it to block the pursuing golden core cultivator. I'm willing to pay any price, even if you die in battle. You must stop that person within 10 breaths. The void tree spirit shuddered, but without hesitation. It turned and blocked the path of the golden core elder of the Reverse River sect. Meanwhile, the young man flew straight towards Bai Xiaochun. Although he had only been a golden core cultivator for less than half a year, he was absolutely certain he could kill a Foundation establishment cultivator within 10 breaths. He had seen the girl's head being severed, and his heart ached immensely. She was his Dao companion, his junior sister. He secretly vowed to personally kill that Foundation establishment cultivator. Die, the young man roared, striking with a palm. Bai Xiaochun kept retreating, believing that someone would definitely come to his rescue, as long as he held out until then. I can't die here, to be immortal. I must fight. Bai Xiaochun chanted a spell, and 3 enormous purple cauldrons appeared. Countless spirit-refining flying swords rushed out, colliding with the palm strike. Boom! The 3 cauldrons shattered, and the spirit-refining flying swords met the same fate. The hand didn't stop for a moment, striking directly at Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun spat blood, using his golden light flashing, immortal skin, and immortal flesh techniques. His body was sent flying, but he didn't die. The young man in the core formation rushed forward, flicking his sleeve, and a black wind appeared, transforming into a black dragon that lunged at Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun roared, opening his heaven-penetrating Dharma and emitting a purple light, staring directly at the black dragon. His little wooden sword flew out, not to resist, but to counterattack. Under the heaven-penetrating Dharma eye, the black dragon froze, roaring and struggling. Bai Xiaochun's forehead ached, and the black dragon began to show signs of disintegrating. Just a firefly, yet it dares to compare its light to the moon. The young man in the core formation realm sneered, taking a step forward. The black dragon roared, its body swelling, and it broke free from the restraint. Bai Xiaochun spat out blood, fresh blood gushing from his forehead. The little wooden sword pierced the black dragon, Zion through its body, startling the young man in the core formation realm. However, it was only a penetration. The difference in cultivation between the two could not be erased. The black dragon roared and soared forward. It had only gotten close, not even touching Bai Xiaochun, yet its pressure caused him excruciating pain, his blood and chair reversing. He saw many rainbow-colored beams of light from the elders, and even the patriarchs were anxiously flying towards him. But the distance was too great. Bai Xiaochun couldn't wait any longer. Asura body! Bai Xiaochun roared, pushing his immortal golden skin to its limit, and a second Asura body appeared, greatly strengthening him and resisting the black dragon. With a loud bang, Bai Xiaochun spat blood. The black dragon shattered, turning into black ass, but the young man who had just formed a core had already arrived. He raised his hand and struck Bai Xiaochun in the chest. The elders and patriarchs roared, startling the young man, but he ignored them, gritting his teeth and striking down. Die! Bai Xiaochun went berserk, not bothering to dodge, raising his right hand to unleash the throat-shattering lock, intending to strangle the young man. The young man's hand caught it, and with a snap, his bones shattered. Bai Xiaochun became even more enraged, unleashing the mountain-shattering charge. Even if I die, I must injure you. With a loud bang, Hamsun Chung launched his attack, sending Bai Xiaochun's body hurtling forward, crashing into the young man who had just reached the golden core stage. The young man's palm struck Bai Xiaochun's chest, the black cauldron within him flashing brightly. Bai Xiaochun spat out blood, severely injured, but still not dead. That's all you can do. Bai Xiaochun chuckled, his eyes hazy, blood gushing out. He used his last remaining strength to force his 9 layers of spiritual seed together. If successful, he would become a golden core cultivator. Normally, this required long and careful preparation, but now Bai Xiaochun decided to do it immediately. The young man, struck by Hamsun Chung, also spat out blood, staring at him in horror. A foundation establishment cultivator, yet he managed to injure me and that black cauldron, unexpectedly blocked my devastating palm strike. His murderous intent intensified. Seeing that Bai Xiaochun was not dead, he became even more determined. Ignoring the approaching rescuers, he mustered all his strength and charged towards Bai Xiaochun. He must kill Bai Xiaochun. He knew this was his last chance. If he failed this time, and his rescuers arrived, he would die. Even if I die, you must die first, the young man with the golden core roared. Bai Xiaochun's consciousness was hazy. His world slowed down considerably. He suddenly remembered his time at Mar Mountain, the times he burned incense, his memories from the Lingxi sect. Bloodstream sect, reverse river sect. Bai Xiaochun smiled a bitter, self-mocking, and helpless smile. His goal in cultivation was immortality, but on this path to immortality, he always encountered life or death dangers. He felt this was truly contradictory. Immortality, not only must I contend with heaven, but I must also fight against humanity. This path is so arduous and treacherous, causing many to give up halfway, fail, and get lost. Eternal life, I want eternal life. Bai Xiaochun's breath, which had been weak, gradually became strong again. His hazy, dreamy eyes slowly regained their clarity and alertness. His obsession with eternal life became intensely passionate and fierce, relentlessly urging him on. I can't always rely on others. I can only rely on myself. I must become strong. Strong enough that no one can stop my path to eternal life. The 9 layers of spiritual sea within Bai Xiaochun surged and then exploded. Following the explosion, the heavenly Tao aura he had obtained during his foundation establishment connected with the 9 layers of spiritual sea, using them as the center, forcing the layers of spiritual sea to converge. Eternal life, Bai Xiaochun roared to the heavens, the 9 layers of spiritual sea within him erupting, a powerful aura bursting out from within him, merging with the heavens and earth. The aura of the heavenly Tao simultaneously spread, causing the heavens and earth to change, winds to rise and clouds to swirl, and a huge vortex appeared in the sky, continuously expanding and enveloping the entire Void River Academy. Storms erupted, lightning flashed in the sky, and blurry images resembled 9 vast oceans surging and boiling. The young man who had formed his core rushed forward, intending to attack, but was thrown back more than 10 meters by the aura emanating from Bai Xiaochun. The young man who had formed his core took a deep breath, unable to believe it. He wasn't surprised that Bai Xiaochun decided to form his core at this moment, but he was terrified by the strange phenomenon that occurred during Bai Xiaochun's core formation. which was completely different from what he knew. As far as he remembered, core formation basically never involved such strange phenomena unless it occurred in some special area. Otherwise, this kind of aura could never happen. That guy hadn't even successfully formed his golden core yet, but his oppressive aura and presence prevented even a golden core cultivator like him from approaching. It was truly incomprehensible. He wasn't the only one startled. Everyone around him was shocked. This is the aura of the Heavenly Tao. Could it be? Could it be that he's forming a Heavenly Tao golden core? The nascent soul cultivators of the Void River Academy changed color, their eyes filled with disbelief and envy. Heavenly Tao golden core formation, that's the legendary golden core. Within the golden core realm, although all are called golden cores, in reality, there are three types: heaven, earth, and human. Human Tao mortal cores, earth vein cores, and Heavenly Tao golden cores. Only the Heavenly Tao golden core is a true golden core. The only way to achieve a Heavenly Tao golden core is to have achieved Heavenly Tao foundation establishment. Heavenly Tao golden cores are extremely rare. Even mid-level sects haven't produced one in tens of thousands of years. The aura that suppresses the Heavenly Tao is only known from ancient texts. The nascent soul cultivators of the Reverse River sect all knew that Bai Xiaochun was at the Heavenly Tao foundation establishment stage. But Heavenly Tao foundation establishment didn't guarantee he would become a Heavenly Tao golden core. A Heavenly Tao golden core is formed by using the power of the Heavenly Tao to condense a golden core, signifying an unlimited future and invincibility within the golden core realm. The entire battlefield came to a standstill, precisely because it was suppressed by the power of the Heavenly Tao, forcing everyone to stop. All eyes were on Bai Xiaochun, the Heavenly Tao golden core. Even a celestial being descending from heaven couldn't stop or disturb him, for daring to do so would surely incur divine punishment. Whether he succeeded or failed, no one could influence him from the outside. It all depended on the person forming the golden core. A thunderous roar echoed through the sky, and within the 9 layers of the spiritual sea, the 9th and 8th layers, and the 1st and 2nd layers, began to merge. For seas in the sky touched and merged, wind and clouds swirled, and a fierce pressure rose, causing even nascent soul cultivators to gasp for breath. The fusion begins. Breaking through foundation establishment, condensing golden core. This is the process of spiritual sea fusion. This fusion, its strength is divided by the number of layers. Achieving 4 layers of fusion is good, less than 4 is poor. 6 layers fused together is extremely rare, and 8 layers fused together, only the most powerful sects might even achieve it. Bai Xiaochun has achieved 4 layers of spiritual sea fusion. Golden core and nascent soul cultivators from both sects looked up at the sky, their thoughts completely different. The people of the Void River Academy breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing that Bai Xiaochun had only achieved 4 layers of spiritual sea fusion. 4 layers of the spiritual sea merging. This person's Heavenly Tao golden core is doomed. Not only the people of the Void River Academy thought so, but the ancestors of the Reverse River sect were also worried. Bai Xiaochun was the young ancestor of the Reverse River sect, highly regarded by the sect's ancestors. They had originally intended to fully support him in achieving the Heavenly Tao golden core after the war ended. But today, an unexpected event occurred on the battlefield, forcing Bai Xiaochun to forge his own golden core, a tremendous loss for the Reverse River sect. Suddenly, someone shouted, "It's not 4 layers. There's a new layer merging." In the sky, the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea was gradually approaching and merging with the first 2 layers, while the 8th layer was descending, nearing the 7th layer. The pressure of the Heavenly Tao intensified, suppressing all cultivators to the point of chaotic cultivation. How could this happen? The people of the Void Realm were terrified, especially the young man who had formed his core. He trembled, beginning to regret forcing the monstrous Bai Xiaochun to form his core, feeling as if everything was a dream, unreal. 6th layer. The ancestor of the Lingxi Han sect rejoiced. The bloodstream sect's Feng Shenzi was excited, and Li Qingou and the others nervously looked up at the sky, holding their breath, not daring to blink. The sky changed again. The 1st, 2nd, and 3rd layers of the spirit sea had merged and risen, approaching the 4th layer. Similarly, the 7, 8, and 9 layers that had merged also moved towards the 6th layer. The layout had completely changed. The top 4 layers descended, the bottom 4 rose, all heading towards the fifth layer of the Spirit Sea in the middle. Clearly, this was a sign. 9 layers of the Spirit Sea merging together. The oppressive power of the heavenly Tao had reached an absolute level of suppression, forming a kind of protection for the person who had formed the heavenly Tao golden core. Unseen from above, the sorrowful figure of the tomb guardian appeared, looking at Bai Xiaochun. The 9 layers of spiritual seas continuously narrowed, their outlines beginning to form an arc. Then, the 9 layers of spiritual seas gradually merged, revealing their shape. A circle. The 9 layers of spiritual seas completely gathered into one mass, emitting a dazzling golden light. Everyone trembled, for it was the golden yang elixir, a true golden core. Qi condensation, foundation establishment, and golden core formation. These 3 realms, for lower-level sects, are 3 deep chasms separating cultivators from one another. Each realm, unless faced with extreme circumstances, cannot exert pressure on the realm above it. Qi condensation is absorbing the power of heaven and earth, integrating it into one's body, creating a river within. Foundation establishment is transforming that river into a vast ocean, building multiple layers of spiritual sea, each layer increasing strength by 1 level. Qi condensation cultivators cannot compare. But overall, this is only an increase in quantity, not a qualitative leap. But golden core formation is completely different. It refines the layers of the spiritual sea, causing them to merge into one, compressing and condensing them into a single pill, thus strengthening and enhancing combat power. It is a complete qualitative transformation, unmatched by any quantitative accumulation, and the level of life is therefore completely altered. Based on the number of layers of spiritual seas fused, pills are divided into 3 types: mortal pills, earth pills, and golden pills. If Bai Xiaochun wasn't a heavenly Tao foundation establishment cultivator, but only an earth vein foundation establishment cultivator, then the pill he formed now would surely be an earth pill, the type that almost all cultivators can form. But he is a heavenly Tao foundation establishment cultivator. The current pressure of the heavenly Tao forced everyone on the battlefield to stop, not allowing anyone to release any cultivation fluctuations. This was the rule. Everyone looked at Bai Xiaochun, at the enormous golden pill in the air. Each person had different thoughts. Shangguan Qianyu clenched his fists in unwillingness, his heart filled with jealousy, very unwilling to admit his feeling of defeat. Song Qiu breathed heavily, his heart far from calm. He looked at Bai Xiaochun, his heart filled with a strange, indescribable mix of emotions. Not only him, but most of the other prodigies felt the same way. Chu Xinqi, Ruya, Shen Xuanzi, the 3 blood sons of the bloodstream sect, and the 9 islands of the Zhuangzi lineage, each was a leader in their respective lineage, a prodigy. But compared to Bai Xiaochun, they could only watch helplessly as he rose to power, their hearts filled with bitterness and complex emotions. Chen Manyao frowned slightly, raising her hand, but immediately, a cold gaze swept over her from afar, full of warning. Chen Manyao trembled, her whole body turning cold. She recognized that person as the one who had sent shivers down her spine back in the bloodstream sect's Tongshan River, a disciple of the Lingxi lineage. Gong Senwaner. A loud clap of thunder suddenly echoed in the sky. Boom! A golden lightning bolt shot down from the clouds, swirling around the golden core, causing the golden core to shrink significantly. 9 Thunder Fusion Pill. The old man, soon to become a celestial being from the Void River Academy, changed his expression. It really is the Heavenly Tao Golden Pill. According to legend, when the Heavenly Tao Golden Pill appears, the Heavenly Tao will transform into thunder to aid in the fusion. It seems like assistance, but in reality, it's also a tribulation. One must withstand 9 thunder strikes without being destroyed to truly succeed. Amidst the clamor of discussions, the golden pill retracted. Bai Xiaochun's entire body trembled, blood gushed from his mouth, and the aura within him became violently turbulent, as if about to explode. He looked up just as the second thunderclap sounded. Boom! The second golden lightning bolt appeared, much larger than the first, swirling around the golden pill, causing it to shrink even further. It wasn't over yet. The third, fourth, and fifth thunderclaps exploded in quick succession, each lightning bolt larger than the last, causing the golden core to shrink continuously, until it was less than 100 feet in size, shimmering with golden light. He was not far from becoming a true golden core. However, Bai Xiaochun was spitting blood flowing from his nose and ears, his whole body trembling as if about to shatter. The sixth and seventh thunderclaps followed, the sixth lightning bolt causing the spiritual sea layer to tremble as if unable to withstand the immense pressure. Having barely survived the sixth lightning bolt, the seventh arrived, its terrifying, aura threatening to shatter all 9 layers of the spiritual sea. Xiaochun! Anxious cries rang out incessantly. Those concerned about him were all terrified. Conversely, the people of the Void River Academy were overjoyed. The young man who had been full of regret just moments ago had now calmed down completely, letting out a long sigh of relief, his eyes blazing with murderous intent. It seems I don't need to lift a finger. You're doomed. Bai Xiaochun gritted his teeth, looking up at the 8th lightning bolt. This lightning bolt was enormous, like a golden dragon, powerfully pressing down on the 9 layers of the spiritual sea. Heavenly thunder devoured the void. The golden core was compressed by this force, shrinking by a full 10 feet, the immense pressure causing it to crack. Bai Xiaochun was covered in blood, becoming a blooded figure, but his eyes blazed with madness and stubbornness. The immortal longevity technique was activated, his entire body shining with golden light, and the Asura body appeared behind him. Stop for me! Bai Xiaochun roared, using all his strength to endure and heal, helping the 9 layers of the spiritual sea, though greatly shaken, to remain standing after the 8th lightning bolt. Everyone unconsciously held their breath, waiting for the final lightning bolt. One last lightning strike. Bloodstream one line wine god sun trembled. After this, it's either success or death. The old man from the Void River Academy, who was about to become a celestial being, also whispered. If Bai Xiaochun successfully achieved the Heavenly Dao Golden Core, and if he wasn't crushed to death prematurely, he would certainly have hope of advancing to the nascent soul stage, and possibly even achieving the celestial being stage. Was so powerful it dyed the entire sky yellow, as if it wasn't just one lightning bolt, but an entire sky of lightning bolts simultaneously striking Bai Xiaochun's golden core, which was only about a meter in diameter. This was the final compression. Bai Xiaochun roared, pushing his immortal cultivation to its limit. Everything he possessed, including his will and soul, was unleashed. He forgot everything around him. His mind was a chaotic mess. Condense the golden core. I want immortality. Bai Xiaochun shouted, soaring upwards and charging straight towards the 9-layered spiritual sea golden core. Boom! 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 From afar, the lightning bolt and his figure almost simultaneously struck the golden core. At this moment, the heavens and earth became hazy. The void exploded, and the ground shook violently. At this moment, the boundless golden light became the sole color of the entire sky and earth. At this moment, the lightning, Bai Xiaochun, and the golden core merged into one. At this moment, the entire battlefield fell silent, all eyes fixed on one place. Then, the lightning vanished, Bai Xiaochun vanished, and the 9 layers of the spiritual sea golden core also vanished, though perhaps not vanished, but rather blinded by the boundless golden light. Only the exclusive golden light remained, occupying the entire space, stretching and expanding infinitely. No one knew whether Bai Xiaochun had succeeded or failed. The ancient texts only recorded it vaguely, not detailing the process, and no one had any reference materials. All they could do now was wait, and the oppressive power of the Heavenly Dao was slowly dissipating at this moment. As it dissipated, the golden sky also slowly faded away. Everyone was tense and anxious, searching for a figure, each thinking that this might be the first, and also the last, time in their lives to see the Heavenly Dao Golden Core. The Reverse River sect felt the same way, as did the Void River Academy. The young man forming the Golden Core trembled, feeling worried and afraid again. It mustn't succeed, it mustn't succeed, his face contorted, screaming inwardly. But the golden light in the sky gradually dissipated, and everyone slowly saw the image of Bai Xiaochun. He stood in the sky, eyes closed, hands outstretched, his whole body radiating a golden light like an immortal. Bai Xiaochun opened his eyes. A powerful surge of cultivation energy erupted from him, spreading outwards. This wasn't the power of a foundation establishment cultivator, but the power of a golden core cultivator. No, the young man who had formed the golden core choked out, causing a commotion around them. It's a success! Young master! Zikun! Bai Zikun's eyes were hazy. He felt a surge of power within him, feeling that his earlier wounds had completely healed. The power he possessed was incredibly intense, as if a mere wave of his hand could shatter everything around him, making him slightly panicked. Is this what a golden core is like? Bai Zikun murmured. He felt that the 9 layers of his spiritual sea had disappeared, replaced by a golden core. And it was a heavenly Tao golden core. Each time this golden core rotated, it unleashed an incredibly powerful force, far stronger than before, spreading throughout his entire body. This change not only increased his lifespan, but also elevated his life level to a new level. From this moment on, his perspective on the world had completely changed. It seemed to have acquired many new nuances, becoming brighter, clearer, and more intimate. His heavenly Tao aura became much more intense, as if merging with heaven and earth, creating a strange connection, making Bai Xiaochun vaguely feel that he could completely summon lightning to strike. He even had an indescribable feeling, as if he himself had become similar to the world within the blood ancestor's body, supported and assisted by heaven and earth. Bai Xiaochun looked up, and this feeling became even more intimate and intense. Golden core. Bai Xiaochun clenched his fist and shouted, causing the people of the reverse river sect below to cheer loudly. It seems I can still do more. Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath, activating the immortal longevity technique. Behind him, a Shura body appeared, then a second, a third, a fourth. With each Shura body that appeared, Bai Xiaochun's aura increased, surpassing that of an ordinary early-stage core formation cultivator, leaving everyone speechless. Even the arrogant crowd from before no longer harbored any feelings of jealousy. He's still going. How is this possible? This is physical strength. Could it be that he wants to have a golden core body? Core formation on the battlefield was already unimaginable, let alone him creating a heavenly Tao golden core that completely suppressed the entire field. Yet, Bai Xiaochun not only didn't stop at successfully condensing a heavenly Tao golden core, but continued to display his formidable physical strength, leaving the surrounding cultivators stunned and bewildered. 8 Asura bodies appeared in quick succession, and when the 9th appeared, the heavens and earth roared again. 9 great Asura bodies, shaking the heavens and earth, their aura like a rainbow. He not only broke through his cultivation, but also his immortal Asura body. 9 great Asura bodies, like 9 venerable Dharma forms, revolved around him, all looking up to the sky and letting out long roars with him. Then, the 10th Asura body's illusory image vaguely appeared, but Bai Xiaochun's entire body trembled violently. He felt a layer of shackles appearing within him. The 5 great shackles of the body. Bai Xiaochun immediately understood. Back then, after breaking through the first layer of shackles, he had perfected the immortal skin, and now, it was the 2nd layer. Although he hadn't broken through it yet, he had now touched it. This feeling was like 4 mountains pressing down on him, and he had a burning desire to shatter those 4 mountains, to stand tall and free himself. I'm only a little short of achieving the immortal diamond body. If I achieve the immortal diamond body, I can condense the immortal diamond pill. Bai Xiaochun was filled with anticipation and excitement. Recalling the contents of the 2nd volume of the immortal cultivation technique, he glanced around and saw the terrified young man in the foundation establishment stage staring at him. The moment their eyes met, the oppressive aura of the heavenly Tao finally vanished. The young man recoiled in fear. He had no choice but to retreat, for Bai Xiaochun gave him an extreme sense of danger. Simply looking at each other, yet the other's eyes were like 2 sharp swords piercing his own, causing him excruciating pain and making his earth core tremble. The young man turned and fled. Several people from the Void River courtyard immediately rushed out to chase him. They were very fast, but Bai Xiaochun was closer, and his speed, which had been astonishing even when he was in the foundation establishment stage, was now even faster. You can't escape, Bai Xiaochun said coldly, his killing intent surging. Wings appeared behind him as Hamsun Chong unfolded. People could no longer see his form clearly, only catching a fleeting glimpse of his movement trajectory. In the blink of an eye, he was beside the young man who had just formed his core. You struck me with a palm earlier. Now I'll return the favor. Bai Xiaochun swung his hand, and a palm strike landed. This palm strike from Bai Xiaochun carried the power of the heavenly Tao golden core, bringing with it lightning and supreme will, crushing all those in the same realm. The young core formation cultivator screamed, the imminent danger of death driving him mad. He knew he couldn't escape, and knew his only option was to endure this palm strike and wait for rescue. At this moment, his situation and Bai Xiaochun's had completely reversed. He potted his storage bag, took out many magic treasures, pointed them directly at Bai Xiaochun, and even spat out his own earth core. I don't believe it. You just entered the core formation realm, and you can kill me with one palm strike, the young man roared. Bai Xiaochun's palm struck the young man's magic treasures, which quickly shattered. The palm strike, like a splitting bamboo, continued to hit the young core formation cultivator. A palm strike landed, touching the finger of the young man who had just formed his golden core. Everyone saw that finger turn into dust and vanish. The palm strike continued, touching the young man's earth core. The earth core shattered into dust, and the young man spat out blood. You want to kill me? I will kill you, Bai Xiaochun said coldly. Before he could finish speaking, the agonizing screams were silenced. The young man's body shattered into a shower of blood, scattering everywhere, even hitting the golden core cultivators of the Void River Academy who rushed to his rescue. He was killed with just one palm strike, in the blink of an eye, cleanly. This caused the golden core cultivators to freeze in shock. Only now did they realize the terrifying power of the Heavenly Dao golden core. Having just formed his golden core, he could kill someone of the same realm with just one palm strike. This was complete suppression. How could it not terrify them? The Reverse River sect members erupted in excited cheers. Bai Xiaochun looked up at the nascent soul cultivators in the air. This was the first time he felt that he and they seemed not so far apart. Hehe, Reverse River sect brothers, attack with all your might, seize the Void River Academy. The Bloodstream sect's Feng Shenzi laughed loudly, his voice resounding. The Reverse River sect cultivators roared in response, charging forward. Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath, his blood energy, even more intense than when he was a Foundation Establishment cultivator, surged forth, spreading everywhere and further boosting the Bloodstream sect cultivators' combat power. The speed and ferocity of the battle had reached a new level. From above, one could clearly see the Reverse River sect cultivators charging forward with powerful momentum in the two forests along the river. The Void River Academy was unable to withstand the onslaught, constantly retreating, its defeat clearly evident. A green lantern flew out from the Void River Academy's mountain gate, continuously growing larger as it flew, eventually reaching a size of hundreds of meters, radiating immense power. Around the lantern, countless vengeful spirits wailed mournfully and flew out. This was one of the Void River Academy's most prized treasures. However, a black sun rose from the river bank, containing a white crow. It opened its eyes, let out a screech, and flew straight towards the lantern. The battle had reached a point where both sides had to use their most prized treasures to determine victory. For the Reverse River sect, this black sun was their most powerful treasure, but for the Void River Academy, it was only equivalent to their ordinary treasure. A massive stone tablet, hundreds of feet tall, flew out from within the gate of the Kong Academy, crashing heavily to the ground, emanating an aura of ancient desolation. The ground around the tablet rose up, transforming into a colossal tomb. Withered arms emerged from the earth, but as soon as the tablet landed, a white sun appeared, within which a black crow shrieked piercingly, flying towards the tablet. The light of the white sun reduced the withered arms of the tombstone to dust. A roar erupted from the tablet, and an enormous face emerged, its mouth wide open, as if to devour the white sun. Cultivators clashed with cultivators, treasures clashed with treasures. The casualties had reached an astonishing level. However, the tide still turned in favor of the Nit sect, while the Kong Academy continuously retreated, returning to the foot of its mountain gate. At this point, the war had entered its third phase, the Mountain Gate Battle. The deafening explosions continued, the light of spales filled the sky, and mournful cries echoed in all directions. Bai Xiaochun was no longer fighting on the Foundation Establishment battlefield, but had soared into the air, battling the core formation cultivators of the Void River Academy. Since the core formation cultivators of the Reverse River sect already held a numerical advantage, the danger wasn't significant. This also helped Bai Xiaochun gradually become familiar with the fighting style of core formation cultivators and gain more combat experience. His combat power grew stronger and stronger, terrifying the core formation cultivators of the Void River Academy. On a high mountain a distance from the Void River Academy, 3 people stood watching the battlefield, their eyes able to clearly see every detail of the battle. These 3 were 2 men and 1 woman. The woman was stunningly beautiful, very alluring, and possessed a powerful aura, but her figure was ethereal, sometimes real, sometimes hazy. If one stared for too long, they would surely become dizzy and disoriented. The other two men were a middle-aged monk, surrounded by dark energy that condensed into skull shapes. Around him, the plants withered, and even the earth and rocks seemed to be corroded, demonstrating the immense power of this dark energy, like demonic energy. The last one was an old man, dressed in a Taoist robe, with an air of immortal grace and a mysterious aura. These three represented the remaining three major sects of the Central Region, the Star River Academy, the Extreme River Academy, and the Tao River Academy. The illusory woman was from the Star River Academy. The middle-aged man enveloped in demonic energy was from the demonic sect, Extreme River Academy. And the old man was from the number one sect in the Central Region, the Tao River Academy. The Star River Academy is about to lose. How interesting! It seems our new neighbor isn't too weak either. This will make the game more fun. He even has a heavenly Tao golden elixir. I'm afraid this person will attract the attention of the Starry Sky Tao Extreme Sect. The Void River Academy is sure to fail. So their quotas should be adjusted, shouldn't they? The three men, one tall and one short, discussed among themselves, exchanging knowing smiles, each seemingly delighted at the prospect of the Void River Academy's demise. War is always tragic. Compared to the Reverse River sect, the Void River Academy suffered far more severe casualties, and the entire Void River Academy was shrouded in silence. An old man in white robes stood in the middle of the Void River Academy. There was an ancient tree, and on its branches was a wooden house. The old man stood outside the house, watching the battle, listening to all the sounds of war. His face was full of weariness. If you looked closely, you would see a strong scent of death emanating from him, clearly indicating that he was nearing death and did not have much time left. Beside the old man was a young boy, with rosy lips and pearly white teeth, very beautiful, his whole body fragrant, his clothes spotless, like a celestial child. The boy stood upright, his hands clasped behind his back, watching the battle with great interest, especially when looking at Bai Xiaochun. "Brother Li, is that enough?" the old man asked hoarsely, his voice filled with weariness. "Not yet." The young man smiled, tilting his head to look at the old man, then sighed. "Brother Chen, if you had known this earlier, would you regret it? Then what would be enough?" "So many have already died." The old man remained silent for a moment before replying. "All right, if that's the case, take out all the top-tier treasures of your Void River Academy and leave. The sooner you are annihilated, the sooner this punishment will end." The young man thought for a moment, then chuckled softly. The old man felt even more exhausted. Everyone thought he was dead, but as the patriarch of the Void River Academy, a powerful expert in the heavenly human realm, he had many ways to prolong his life. Even though he was severely injured and his life force was depleted, the Starry Sky Tao Extreme Sect did not pursue and completely annihilate the old man, but forced him to live, to witness the destruction of the Void River Academy firsthand, so that he would understand that this was punishment. Only when a sufficient number of people had died would they be allowed to stop, in exchange for a chance to live again. The old man sighed, gently raised his right hand, and lightly touched the tree trunk. The trunk trembled, then the entire Void Evil Tree shook, and from all over the tree, white insects emerged. These insects were only the size of a finger, but the aura they emitted was extremely powerful. After emerging, they all flew into the sky. This incident caused all the participants to stop again and look up. The number of insects flying out was immense, countless, filling the entire sky. Even the cultivators of the Void River Academy were frightened by this swarm of insects. The entire sect was filled with insects, their screeching sounds making people tremble. The insects gathered together, forming an enormous insect. This giant insect was no longer white, but had turned red, thousands of feet in size, its body covered with sharp thorns, each thorn emitting a black glow, clearly containing potent poison. The insect shrieked, its shriek transforming into a violent shockwave that warped the void, causing countless cultivators to spit blood, regardless of whether they were from the Void River Academy or the Reverse River sect. Death Worm. One of the two great treasures of the Void River Academy, the Death Worm. Lingxi Han sect and Zwexi Feng Shenzi exchanged glances, their faces grim. The insect twisted its body, spewing out a stream of green liquid, like a rain shower, corroding anything it touched and creating holes if it fell to the ground. Screams of agony echoed continuously as cultivators from both sides were affected. This level of corrosion far surpassed the acid rain Bai Xiaochun created during his alchemy practice, causing him to recoil in terror. What kind of monster is that? The death worm moved swiftly, leaving a trail of agonizing screams wherever it went. It opened its mouth and devoured a nascent soul cultivator in midair. The insect landed on the ground, rolling around, crushing the cultivators and its path into powder. Even nascent soul cultivators couldn't stop it. If they struck hard, it would instantly disintegrate into thousands of tiny insects that would flee, then recondense into a giant insect, leaving everyone helpless. What a mid-grade spiritual treasure, the death insect. The disciple clapped his hands and laughed, his eyes filled with admiration. The old man remained silent. The Reverse River sect has many spiritual treasures, all of them high-grade spiritual treasures, but the blood ancestor's body we saw just now was truly ordinary. It's a pity the ancestor has a decree forbidding us from touching it. The disciple shook his head, extremely regretful. But I heard that the Lingxi sect has a mysterious origin. Perhaps they possess some eye-opening spiritual treasure. The disciple blinked with interest. The death insect continued its rampage, hindering the Reverse River sect's offensive. The Reverse River sect's ancestors turned to look at the Lingxi sect. Brother Han, you once said you had a way to deal with this death worm. Bloodstream Wine God's son spoke up. The great ancestor of the spirit stream lineage, Han Zong, hesitated, looking at the worm. He gritted his teeth, said nothing, and flew back to the spirit stream lineage's heaven-connecting worship. A moment later, a terrifying aura emanated from the spirit stream lineage's heaven-connecting worship. The death worm trembled and stopped abruptly. All the cultivators on the battlefield changed their expressions, their cultivation levels in disarray. The young man outside the wooden house also looked serious, staring intently at the heaven-connecting worship. This is... The old man beside him changed his expression, disbelief etched on his face. A top-grade spiritual treasure. Gongsun Wanner, who had been calm and composed, also stopped abruptly, her eyes flashing with a sinister light as she gazed at the heaven-connecting worship. The entire battlefield fell silent. Even Kong Dong Tashu, struggling to break free from the blood ancestor's grip, stopped moving. Inside the Tongshan ship, in a secret chamber, Han Zong knelt before a coffin containing the body of a little girl. The girl had now opened her eyes. The terrifying aura pressing down on the battlefield was emanating from her eyes. Invite the true spirit to intervene and destroy the death worm. Han Zong trembled, his voice high. The girl's body in the coffin vanished. It suddenly reappeared outside the Tongshan ship. The girl floated silently in midair, her eyes wide with terror as if recalling something. Everyone stared at her, trembling, their pupils no different. This is. The pupils held their breath, their eyes filled with horror and disbelief. Not only the young man, but the old man beside him was also terrified, breathing heavily. Outside the Void River Academy, all the cultivators were also frightened. Who is this aura, this breath? Even when I encountered a heavenly human ancestor, I didn't tremble like this. This Reverse River sect unexpectedly possesses such a spiritual treasure. Bloodstream Wine Godson's eyes widened. It turned out that the spirit stream lineage was indeed the most skilled at concealment, truly unfathomable. No one could guess what the spirit stream lineage was hiding. Bai Xiaochun's mouth dropped open. He knew this little girl. Not only did he know her, but few knew her better than him. He had even heard her voice the first time he saw her. But now, seeing her emerge from the coffin with his own eyes, feeling her terrifying aura that was beyond description, Bai Xiaochun also held his breath. Before anyone could react, the little girl closed her eyes, raised her hand, and pointed at the giant worm. The death worm trembled, as if losing all resistance. No one saw any magical vibration, but the death worm's entire body shook violently. Then, its body slowly turned into dust, completely disappearing. Bai Xiaochun's eyes widened. He saw something others couldn't see. The little girl's single finger had created a tiny, thin ripple, like a thread. Such a faint ripple, yet it had erased the death worm's existence. This kind of technique could no longer be called a divine magical ability. The three people from the three sects on the distant mountain also trembled uncontrollably. They didn't know what kind of power this was, but if it could easily dissipate a mid-grade spiritual treasure, Then if that finger landed on them, they too would only be reduced to dust. A mutant. There's a mutant in the Lynxie sect. The young man outside the wooden house whispered, his gaze at the little girl unusually serious. A mutant. In this interconnected world, any sect that harbors a mutant will be annihilated. And those who come into contact with mutants will also suffer the consequences. The old man outside the wooden house chuckled, his eyes filled with excitement and anticipation. The young man remained silent. He was one of the 5 celestial beings of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect, and he understood this world very well. He knew about mutants, and he also knew the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect's attitude towards them, indifference and disregard. I fear there is a powerful expert within the Lynxie sect. Bringing out this mutant isn't to destroy the death worm, but to show me. If so, I'll also investigate you, the young man pondered, glancing around and pointing to a branch nearby. The old man's expression changed, and he intended to stop it, but then refrained. The void-dwelling evil tree, as if infused with life, roared ferociously. Branches flew out, wrapping around all the Void River Academy cultivators on the battlefield, regardless of whether they were ordinary cultivators or nascent soul cultivators. They were all entangled by the branches and dragged into the void-dwelling evil tree. All the Void River Academy cultivators became nutrients for the void-dwelling evil tree, and its life force surged again. The branches and leaves sprouted wildly, the gigantic void-dwelling evil tree shook, and the 2 main roots that had been tightly gripped by the blood ancestor's body also broke free. The great tree rose up again, covering the sky and shaking the heavens. 2 glowing red eyes appeared on the tree, staring intently at the little girl in midair. But the little girl only had 10 breaths left to exist, and now more than 8 breaths had passed. The little girl's body began to wither, the radiance in her eyes dimmed, not even glancing at the mocking screams of the void-dwelling evil tree, but instead turning to look at Bai Xiaochun. I'll give you a drop of my blood, hoping you will soon refine the reverse river pill. A voice echoed in Bai Xiaochun's mind. The little girl pointed at him. A drop of fresh blood appeared at her fingertip, and with a whoosh, it entered Bai Xiaochun's forehead. Then the female infant completely disappeared. Returning to the coffin in the Tongshan ship, her eyes closed, once again transforming into a dried corpse. Bai Xiaochun trembled. The drop of blood upon entering him caused his blood to surge, bringing with it an immense power. Bai Xiaochun roared, 9 Asura bodies appearing one after another, followed by the 10th Asura body. Bai Xiaochun roared, the sensation of touching the 2nd layer of shackles becoming even clearer, almost breaking through it. Immortal diamond body. A shockwave centered around him, swept outwards, and the 10 Asura bodies began to overlap and merge. A continuous stream of golden light emanated from the single remaining Asura body, which seemed to be covered in a layer of golden armor. Its form completely transformed. No longer 3 heads and 6 arms, it had transformed into a diamond. A colossal body hundreds of meters tall it was. The immortal diamond. The 2nd layer of shackles, due to the appearance of the immortal diamond, was also shattered. A 2nd golden core appeared within Bai Xiaochun's body, the immortal diamond core. Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath, the immortal diamond core merging into his body, and his entire being emitted an extremely terrifying aura. It was the power of the dual cores. A single drop of the little girl's blood helped Bai Xiaochun understand more about the reverse river pill. From having absolutely no clue, he now had a solid foundation to successfully refine the reverse river pill. The bloodstream monk followed Feng Shenzi back to the blood ancestor's body. Feng Shenzi shouted, Tanger, control the blood ancestor and kill the evil tree. To investigate the little girl, the young disciple intervened, reviving the dying Void River evil tree, but at a great cost. All the cultivators of the Void River Academy had to sacrifice themselves. This was unexpected, and the Reverse River sect was extremely surprised. They had thought that after the Death Worm was destroyed, the Void River Academy would surely surrender, as such punishment would be sufficient. But now everything had changed. The Void River evil tree roared, its colossal trunk standing like a giant in the middle of the heavenly river, its branches and leaves constantly swaying as if trying to tear apart space. Outside the wooden house, the young disciple frowned. He didn't care about the lives of the Void River Academy or the Reverse River sect. He only cared about the little girl. She only has 10 breaths left to live. The young disciple shook his head, a look of regret on his face, lost in thought for a moment. The old man beside him was filled with sorrow and bitterness. Around the Void River courtyard, the various sects and cultivation clans fell silent, retreating in unison. Most of the cultivators from the Reverse River sect had returned to the Tongshan ship, setting up their defenses. Bai Xiaochun flew swiftly into the Tongshan River, heading straight towards the Blood Ancestor's body. The Blood Ancestor's body trembled again, its eyes opened, and it slowly stood up. Previously, controlling the Blood Ancestor's body required the combined efforts of many Bloodstream sect cultivators, but now, Bai Xiaochun alone could make it move. As the Blood Ancestor stood up, the Bloodstream sect cultivators arrived and entered, and the Blood Ancestor, full of momentum, leapt onto the riverbank. The void-dwelling evil tree was waiting, its branches and leaves intertwined to form a giant arm, striking forcefully at the Blood Ancestor. The Blood Ancestor did not retreat but advanced, its speed far exceeding before, instantly reaching the void-dwelling evil tree, grabbing the arm, and unleashing the mountain-shattering charge. A golden light blazed around the Blood Ancestor. Under the effect of the mountain-shattering strike, the Blood Ancestor uprooted the entire void-dwelling evil tree and tossed it far away. Both the Blood Ancestor and the void-dwelling evil tree were colossal giants. Each of their attacks seemed to tear apart the heavens and earth. The shockwaves from their attacks created a whirlwind that swept in all directions, sending trees and rocks flying. Even the waters of the Tongshan River were not spared. The clash between the man and the tree caused the entire battlefield to crumble, leaving craters everywhere. The void-dwelling evil tree was not fully restored. It had only absorbed the life force of the Void River Institute cultivators, regaining a little of its vitality. Therefore, with such a fierce attack, it couldn't sustain itself for long. The void-dwelling evil tree roared, retreating continuously, completely falling into a passive position. Within Bai Xiaochun's body, the heavenly Tao Golden Core surged continuously, unleashing its golden core power. Combined with the power of the immortal Diamond Core, it gave him terrifying strength, allowing him to control the Blood Ancestor's body with incredible ease and agility. His cultivation increased, greatly expanding the range of Bai Xiaochun's consciousness, to the point where he forgot he was merely controlling the Blood Ancestor's body, and instead felt as if he himself were the Blood Ancestor. Kill! Bai Xiaochun roared, and the void-devouring evil tree was pushed back again. Bai Xiaochun grabbed its arm and threw it far away once more. The void-devouring evil tree fell, causing the ground to tremble. The disciple outside the wooden house remained deep in thought, while the old man beside him had finished his deliberation, his face filled with determination. He touched the tree trunk, and instantly, his body withered even more, the death aura around him becoming even denser. The disciple tilted his head and looked at the old man. "Fellow Taoist, I apologize for what just happened. I was momentarily tempted to test my strength against that extraordinary being, but it negatively impacted you and also affected the Reverse River sect. Alas, I won't interfere with your decision. Let the Void Tree remain as a testament to the Void River Academy's past existence. Consider it my compensation to the Reverse River sect." The young man said coldly, his body lightly soaring into the sky, unseen by anyone. Watching the young man disappear into the distance, the old man silently gazed at the Void Tree. All the people of the Void River Academy were dead, and he himself didn't have much longer to live. He wanted to sacrifice himself to give the Void Tree a glimmer of hope, to allow it to survive. At the same time, he wanted to convey his final will and command to the Void Tree. Submit to the Reverse River sect. From now on, protect the Reverse River sect, just as you once protected the Void River Academy. The old man whispered, his body withering away, gradually merging into the void-dwelling evil tree, no longer recognizable. The void-dwelling evil tree trembled, the fiery red in its eyes fading. Bai Xiaochun rushed forward, intending to continue his attack, but the void-dwelling evil tree bowed its head, knelt down, and said in a hoarse voice, "I submit." A halo of light flew out from the great tree, revealing a round, green sphere, the core of the void-dwelling evil tree. Holding this core meant holding its life and death in his hands. Bai Xiaochun paused. Everyone fell silent, looking at the Blood Ancestor, waiting for his decision. Bai Xiaochun stood still for a moment, then smiled slightly and took the core. The people on the 3 heaven-connecting ships cheered in triumphant joy. "We have won! From now on, our Reverse River sect is a mid-level sect. Victory! Victory!" Everyone was agitated. The entire Reverse River sect was in turmoil. At the same time, from high above, A dazzling red halo streaked across the horizon and descended a stone tablet. The tablet was firmly embedded in the ground, only slightly more than half of its upper part visible, bearing 3 large characters: Reverse River Sect. Below were smaller characters: Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect Branch. This was confirmation from the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect, further invigorating the people of the Reverse River Sect. All their sacrifices had now been rewarded, and everyone was filled with emotion. The surrounding cultivation sects and families all knelt down. Greetings to the Reverse River Sect. The voices echoed in all directions, growing louder and clearer. The 3 sects on the distant mountainside looked at the blood ancestor and then turned and left. Everyone understood that from today onwards, the Central Eastern region would no longer have the Void River Institute, only the Reverse River Sect. Ziping the Reverse River Sect has taken control of the Central region. This has shaken all the cultivation sects and families in the Central region. The other 3 major sects remained silent, implicitly acknowledging it, causing the news to spread far and wide in a very short time. This proves that the power structure of the Central region has completely changed, with one of the 4 great overlords being replaced by someone else. The entire Reverse River Sect became extremely busy. All disciples, regardless of cultivation level, were mobilized to rebuild the sect. The Reverse River Sect built its mountain gate on the very land that once belonged to the Void River Academy. This mountain was renovated to be both offensive and defensive, and the gate had to withstand at least 10,000 years, representing the glory of the Reverse River Sect. The main area of the new sect's headquarters is a mountain, towering majestically in the middle of the Tongshan River, seemingly blocking its flow, yet in reality, allowing the river to continue its course. This mountain is incredibly high, its peak invisible, only shrouded in swirling mist, exuding an awe-inspiring aura. This mountain is named the Reverse River Mountain. It is the dwelling place of the sect's ancestors, their most precious treasures, and the place that will determine the future of the Reverse River Sect. Simultaneously, centered around the Reverse River Mountain, 4 mountain ranges have been relocated, stretching for thousands of miles, each containing 8 peaks. These 4 mountain ranges are divided among the 4 lineages: Spirit, Blood, Profound, and Elixir. Opposite the main gate of the Reverse River Sect, across the Tongshan River, stands a giant figure brimming with blood energy. His eyes closed as if in deep sleep. It is the Blood Ancestor. On this side stood the void-dwelling evil tree, along with the giant guardian of the Reverse River Sect. These 2 colossal figures represented the Reverse River Sect's threat to other mid-level sects, a threat so powerful that it instilled fear in all. At that time, the Reverse River Sect also dispatched envoys to inform the 4 lower-level sects under its control of the rules, bringing everything back on track. Each year, they were required to contribute a large amount of resources to the Reverse River Sect, providing them with the same offerings as in the past. Externally, the Reverse River Sect declared a blockade, forbidding any force from entering its territory before the new sect was completed. This was the first decree the Reverse River Sect issued, and with the pressure it exerted in destroying the Void River Academy, no sect dared to violate it. Not even the remaining 3 major mid-level sects. Although the Reverse River Sect was weaker compared to them, it had been acknowledged by the upper sects, and they dared not offend it. Therefore, the area belonging to the Reverse River Sect was completely peaceful. While many people around were agitated, nervous, and tense, the Reverse River Sect paid no attention to these matters. They had many things to do: building their mountain gate, adjusting the downstream area, and managing a downstream area of the cultivation world several times larger than the sect's territory. Each task required careful planning, preparation, and execution. Fortunately, after deliberation, the 4 branches decided to split up, each branch having its own mountain range, developing according to its own needs and style. The Lingxi First Branch, thanks to Bai Xiaochun, occupied the eastern branch, still divided into 7 mountains as before in the Lingxi sect, with the 8th mountain reserved for cultivators in the Golden Core stage. The Bloodstream lineage occupies the southern branch, closest to the Blood Ancestors lineage, supporting their cultivation. However, from now on, there will be 8 Blood Sons for 8 mountains. Each Blood Son must be a Golden Core cultivator. The Mysterious Stream lineage focuses on formations and cultivation, while the Elixir Stream lineage delves into the path of medicine. Thanks to this, the layout of the Reverse River Sect has become complete, perfectly fitting the definition of a great sect. There are many things to do, But fortunately, the ancestors of the four lineages are handling them, leaving Bai Xiaochun with free time. Seeing everyone busy, he felt bored. At first, he enjoyed being respectfully greeted by disciples wherever he went, but gradually he no longer liked it. Well, I'll go find my little sister to chat with, Bai Xiaochun muttered to himself, heading to find Ho Xiaomei. Little sister. Bai Xiaochun had just opened his mouth. Brother Xiaochun, don't disturb me, I'm busy. Ho Xiaomei wiped away her sweat, threw out a sentence, and continued working. Bai Xiaochun was embarrassed, standing there like a statue for a long time when he suddenly saw Zhang Depin. Senior brother. Xiaochun, we'll talk about it later. I still have to refine my spirit. Zhang Depin said sternly, turning back to continue working with Su Mixiang and the others. Bai Xiaochun gave an awkward smile and was about to leave when he saw Ho Yanfei flying towards him from afar. Brother Ho. Xiaochun, move aside. Master told me to go repair the Dharma Pavilion. Ho Yanfei's footsteps didn't stop, and he flew away with a roar. Bai Xiaochun smiled wryly, walked past the bloodstream sect, and as soon as he entered, he saw Song Zhenwan directing the disciples to rebuild the central peak. Sister Song. Yizang, go play somewhere else. Song Zhenwan waved her hand, continuing her work of directing. Bai Xiaochun's eyes widened, and he was about to speak when a trembling voice rang out from behind him. Missing person, or please go somewhere else. The person standing here makes me nervous. Bai Xiaochun sighed and quietly left. None of the people he knew had time to pay attention to him. Everyone was busy. Even Taidan was sent to command the battle beasts to assist with tasks. Bai Xiaochun felt as if he was the only one in the entire Reverse River sect with nothing to do. The only ones with the authority to order him around were the elders, who were all busy discussing important matters, occasionally even arguing loudly. Who says talented people always have a lot to do? But how can a powerful young master like me have nothing to do? Bai Xiaochun couldn't think of anything he could do, and could only sigh. Well, maybe I should go practice alchemy. Bai Xiaochun went to the bank of the Tongshan River, found a place to sit down, and tried to calm himself. Thinking about the true meaning of the reverse river pill in the drop of blood the true spirit female disciple had given him. He who bestowed this creation upon me, I must definitely refine the reverse river pill for him. Bai Xiaochun thought to himself. As night fell, the cultivators had all gone to rest, and the world became quiet. On the battlefield, the corpses of the reverse river sect cultivators had all been cleared, and more than half of the Void River Institute's corpses had also been removed. It would take several more days to clear the remaining ones. The moon shone brightly in the sky. The land and sky were serene when suddenly a dark cloud appeared, obscuring the moon. In the darkness, a figure clad in white slowly emerged from the void. A figure clad in pure white appeared. The surrounding temperature plummeted, and the atmosphere became somber. The figure, seemingly a woman, moved slowly across the battlefield with long, flowing hair. Wherever she passed, the ground froze, trees withered, as if drained of life, and the woman in white seemed to absorb that life force, her form becoming increasingly clear. She approached a corpse, bowed her head slightly, and with a single breath, the body shriveled up, no longer resembling someone who had died only a few days prior, but rather someone who had been dead for years. She didn't stop, moving on to the second corpse, and so on, traversing all the bodies on the battlefield. In a short time, all the corpses had turned into dried-up remains, while the woman's body became remarkably distinct. She turned her head, looked into the distance, and then glided onto another area. This area belonged to the Bloodstream sect, a place where they practiced corpse refining. It was surrounded by sealing formations, but these seals seemed to have no effect on the girl. She glided past them, continuing to absorb. The corpses here withered, and in the blink of an eye, over 10,000 corpses were dried up. Many shattered into dust when a gust of wind blew. The girl let out a soft hiccup like someone who had just eaten their fill, and slightly tilted her head. The dark clouds dispersed, and moonlight shone, illuminating her face. Gongsun Water. Finally, I got to eat my fill. It's a pity they were all dead spirits. I really miss eating living spirits. Gongsun Water chuckled softly, then turned and disappeared. With her disappearance, the dark clouds vanished, and the bright moon reappeared, its pale, gloomy light unnoticed. No one saw Gongsun Water's appearance, not even the nascent soul ancestors. Bai Xiaochun sneezed, suddenly feeling a chill. He looked around, saw nothing strange, and didn't pay attention, continuing his meditation. The next morning, the disciples in charge of corpse refining arrived at the refining area. Seeing the dried corpses devoid of flesh and blood, everyone gasped and cried out, What is this? Heavens, all the corpses here have turned into dried corpses. There's not a single bit of flesh left. It's as if they've been dead for a very long time. I saw them yesterday. They weren't like this." Everyone was shocked and rushed over, discovering that the corpses that hadn't been cleaned up on the battlefield had also turned into dried corpses. This was a huge matter, alarming even the ancestors. Bai Xiaochun was startled awake by the commotion and opened his eyes. "What's going on?" Bai Xiaochun was terrified. These corpses were too bizarre, making him feel a chill down his spine. The patriarchs rushed out, followed by the nascent soul cultivators. Seeing this, Bai Xiaochun also hurried to the corpse refining area of the bloodstream lineage. Many cultivators had already gathered there, noisily discussing the matter. Upon seeing the patriarchs arrive, everyone fell silent, bewildered and confused. This incident had significantly affected them. The fact that human flesh and blood were completely drained easily caused unease and led to all sorts of unfounded suspicions. After observing, the patriarch's expressions changed. Lingxi Hanzong, Bloodstream Fengshenzi, and Chuangxi Chihen, all three of the strongest among them at the Great Perfection Nascent Soul stage, were solemn and carefully examined the remaining aura. The more they observed, the more somber their faces became. The three exchanged glances, and Bloodstream Fengshenzi spoke first. "Because the Dongta tree has been uprooted, causing the climate to be affected, this situation has arisen. Everyone doesn't need to be afraid. We will set up a formation to seal the climate." Hanzong and Shihan also spoke to reassure the disciples, who all breathed a sigh of relief. But Bai Xiaochun was only terrified. He tried to sense the aura of this place. There was a chilling energy that made his whole body freeze, as if it wanted to penetrate his body and freeze him. He naturally didn't believe the explanation of the ancestors and looked up at the Lingxi Hanzong ancestor. Hanzong also looked at him, not allowing him to speak. The matter was quickly resolved, and although everyone still had some questions, no one pursued the matter further. By noon, Bai Xiaochun and all the Foundation establishment cultivators had a private meeting with the ancestors. "It must have happened last night, but strangely, none of us noticed. The corpses are all devoid of flesh and blood. More importantly, these corpses originally had a lot of death energy, but this morning, all the mummified bodies are completely devoid of it. The remaining aura is cold, gloomy, similar to the aura of the 9 underworlds. Hopefully, our deductions are wrong otherwise. Within our reverse river sect, an extremely terrifying existence from the world of the dead has appeared, one that shouldn't exist here. Because only the souls of the dead need to absorb death energy to survive. If that being is strong enough, they might even want the life force of the living." Bloodstream Wine God Sun said quietly, his eyes scanning around. The other nascent soul cultivators remained silent. Bai Xiaochun's face turned pale. He understood what Wine God Sun meant. Ghosts. Bai Xiaochun trembled, goosebumps running down his spine. "But you don't need to worry too much. I'm just letting you know so you can be aware. We'll set up a net of traps. If this vengeful spirit dares to appear again, we'll definitely make it disappear." The Crimson Soul ancestor spoke, his eyes sweeping around. When he saw Bai Xiaochun, his expression turned strange, clearly amused and exasperated by Bai Xiaochun's trembling. Bai Xiaochun shivered uncontrollably, his hair still standing on end as he left the meeting place. "Could it be that unclean thing came looking for me last night?" Thinking this, Bai Xiaochun almost screamed. He didn't dare go back to the place where he'd been the night before, and instead ran back to the reverse river mountain. Being closer to the ancestors, he felt safer. Using his status as the young ancestor, he seized a spot, dug a simple cave dwelling, gritted his teeth, and went out to find a disciple of the Zhuangzi sect to set up a protective formation for him. Having a formation should have been enough, but Bai Xiaochun was still afraid. He sought out 10 more formation masters from the Zhuangzi lineage and asked them to set up a formation for him to protect his cave dwelling. These formation masters were all flustered and tried to finish quickly, but Bai Xiaochun still felt anxious. He used up all his contribution points to exchange for a pile of talismans, all of them exorcism and suppression talismans, and plastered them all over himself. making his entire body covered in talismans like a dumpling before he felt at ease. HMPH, you unclean thing, you'd better not provoke me. I'm very close to the ancestors. My cave dwelling is full of formations, and I have countless talismans on me. I don't believe you dare come near. Bai Xiaochun swaggered out of his cave dwelling, showing off his prowess.